All right, man, peace. So a series of fighters gave their observations on what the outcome of the Mayweather-McGregor super fight was going to be. Let's see what they all have to say. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Our next guest is a boxing legend. He'll be calling the Mayweather-McGregor prelims Saturday on Fox. Sugar Ray Leonard, welcome to Undisputed.
Well, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Great to have you.
Good to see you.
Do you give Conor any shot to beat Floyd?
Yes, you give a shot. But if that shot's this much or that much, this is not about what McGregor should do. It's all about what Floyd Mayweather won't do. In other words, it happens to all of us, from the greatest Muhammad Ali to little old me. We get into that ring one day, and we're 40 years of age, and nothing happens.
See, I stated the same thing. As I've stated repeatedly, the main opportunity that McGregor has is that he can connect on Floyd because Floyd can get in the ring and he no longer has it. And when it happens just like that. Automatically, like one day he has it, he's able to see every punch and dodge it like Neo from the Matrix. And the next day he's getting hit like a heavy bag. And it happened to Ray Leonard. All you got to do is go watch his fight with Hector Macho Camacho, all right, or Terry Norris. He just didn't have it anymore. But he also did not have Floyd's defense. So, I mean, or his fundamental base. So we'll see. Ray Leonard was another guy who relied heavily on his athleticism, similar to a Roy Jones and a Muhammad Ali. When their athleticism started to fade, they became much more vulnerable. Somebody asked me in the comments about my greatest fights in history. In my honest opinion, the greatest fight that I've ever seen was the Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hearns fight, first one. And I call it the greatest fight that I've ever seen because when you factor in that they were both in their prime, that they were both champions, that they both had a certain amount of experience, that they both were athletic freaks. I mean, there's really no other fight that has been fought in history where you had two guys fighting at their prime weight class, in their age prime, in their athletic prime, with the skill level that they both had, enter a ring at the same time for a championship bout. Right? When you look at the Ali Frazier fights, Ali was not in his prime for any of them. All right? None of them. The only one of the three that Frazier was in his prime was the first one. And he was never the same after that first bout.
You don't have the same zest. You don't have the same speed. You don't have the same radar. That happens. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Will this be that night for Mayweather? That's the big question mark. So again, it's not what McGregor's going to do. It's what Mayweather doesn't do.
And he is 40 and a half years of age. And he really hasn't been tested for almost 3 years, back to the Maidana second fight, because Pacquiao tried to fight with a torn rotator cuff, and they just danced for 12 rounds, and it was almost unwatchable.
It was watchable. If you truly enjoy boxing, it was watchable. Floyd Mayweather is a chess man. If you wanted a more exciting fight, you should not have been telling him that if he loses, his entire career would have went down the drain and been invalidated. That's why he took no chances in that fight. You made Floyd fight a very defensive, very safe fight, because all he heard throughout the media was that if he loses the fight to Pacquiao, that his entire career was going to be considered a sham. So you guys made him fight that type of a fight, right? Furthermore, the media made him fight that type of a fight because when he wanted to fight Pacquiao back in 2009, all he said was Pacquiao has to take a drug test. If the media and the fans had put the pressure on Pacquiao, as opposed to accusing Mayweather of using a ploy to get out of the fight would have been made then. Floyd was even offering him 50-50. Everything was in his favor. But he decided to turn it down because, let's be for real, he most likely was on a performance-enhancing drug. As Freddie Roach, his trainer, himself admitted, he said Alex Ariza was giving him shakes that may have had PEDs in them. This is what Freddie Roach said. It is what it is.
and Andre Berto does not count as a quote-unquote fight. So no test for a long time. And remember, Floyd retired, and I believe that in his heart of hearts he was retired. But so much money piled up on the table, he finally says, you know what, I got to do this. I can take this guy. It won't be a big sweat for me. I won't have to work that hard in camp. And you know and I know that's a dangerous mentality to take into what I think is going to be a contest.
The media has created this narrative that Floyd Mayweather has not trained hard for this fight. I have no idea why, other than maybe due to the fact that the Showtime series All Access has never shown him training once. But that does not mean that he's not training. And that's part of that. That's really Showtime's fault. They have allowed Floyd to control what that show shows, and it's made the show a very poor show to watch. I mean, there's no comparison between All Access and 24/7. 24/7, they had some of the greatest episodes of behind the scenes as far as boxing, because people watch those shows to watch Floyd train. Right? They watch those shows to watch him, hit the heavy bag and hit the mitts and do sit-ups and all that other stuff and jump rope. That's why they watch it. They don't watch it to see Floyd talk about his strip club. I don't care about that shit. No, for some reason Floyd thinks that people want to see that.
Because the other guy's in his prime at age 29, and he will come hard for Floyd. Is he skilled at boxing? I think more than most people think. So that's why I'm giving him a shot.
But also the fact that he's making his professional debut against one of the best fighters
He is
in the world. And again, the fighter that McGregor is, a fighter. He's a bad boy, no question about that. Give him props.
I agree. As I've stated already, I give McGregor a lot of credit, especially with his mental outlook. He's an extremely positive, self-affirming person, self-validated, self-motivated. That's why he's somebody to be appreciated. He's self-made.
He can't outbox Mayweather. He has to make this fight as ugly as possible. In other words, go in there and hit him behind the head, hold him, whatever. Just make it into a street fight. The more that becomes apparent, the better chances that he has.
I don't know about all that. I mean, the best chance that he has is to catch Floyd on the chin with something that maybe Floyd won't be able to resist as well as he could years ago. If he tries to make it a dirty fight, he's going to have to fight on the inside. Floyd's going to hurt him to the body. Just looking at McGregor's physique, and I've even heard the trainer for Andre Ward, Virgil Hunter, allude to this. He does not look like somebody who takes punches well to the body. He just doesn't. But I mean, we're going to find out very soon.
But when you look at boxers, Sugar Ray, you were used to seeing, you could see the punches, and when you saw the punches, okay, here's the punch, boom, you could take it. But Conor's never really seen punches thrown from a boxer as skilled as Floyd. He doesn't think Floyd can knock Conor out. Do you think?
Yes, Floyd can knock him. Yeah, Floyd hits harder than you think he does. He's just fought guys who had a solid chin. Absolutely.
They're called champions. When you get to the championship level, you're going to face guys who can take punches. And I've said this for years, and this fight has it's just funny. The build up to this fight has really helped to destroy that narrative that Floyd Mayweather Jr. cannot punch. The main reason why you don't see Floyd pursue knockouts is because he's normally fighting guys who outweigh him by 20 pounds, and he wears them down. But there's no need for him to press for the knockout, because the only chance that his opponent has is that he's going to press for a knockout that he doesn't need because he's already up by 8-9 rounds. All right, so that just doesn't make any sense. It's like when Pernell Whitaker moved up in weight. He wasn't getting a bunch of knockouts, but he was winning because of his excessive skill level. All right, so, I mean, why would you do that? Like, in the NFL, if you're up 35 to 3 with 6 minutes left, you're not going to have your starting quarterback in the game. That's unnecessary risk. You take him out of the game. You bring in the backup. It's the same way in fighting, in boxing. You're up by 10 rounds. Why would you go for a knockout and risk yourself being knocked out? It's just silly.
I mean, you can't teach chin.
Right.
You're naturally capable of doing
Ain't no muscle in the chin, huh?
Exactly. There's no muscle. But the fact that McGregor's punches are here, and those are big, but those are the kind of punches he has to throw and he should throw.
Right.
A lot of them. The key here, you're going to see Mayweather for the first round or two. I feel just going to feel him out, just see it pop. In other words, just try shots. That good old leadoff right is the perfect punch for a southpaw.
And Floyd's going to go a lot with the lead right to the body, too. Watch for the lead right to the body, especially trying to go to McGregor's solar plexus, just to see how he responds.
The perfect punch, the right hand, leadoff right, and Mayweather has one of the best leadoff right hands.
He throws it like a jab.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And
But it's a jab. Okay, I'm going to remind you, Floyd has not KO'd anybody, knocked out anybody since 1999. So, listen, do not underestimate the chin of Conor McGregor. He's been taking shots to the chin with 4-ounce gloves, basically bare knuckles. So don't disrespect that.
No.
I expect early in the fight when Conor's getting hit in his jaw, I expect him to try to act like the punches don't hurt. He'll probably do a lot of those wild facial gestures that he makes at the weigh-ins and things of that nature, trying to act like he's some wild man. I expect him to do that early, particularly the first couple of rounds. Afterward, as those punches start to hurt more and more, assuming that he doesn't score a magical, mystical knockout, as the fight goes on and he's getting hit more and more with those shots, you're going to see him respond by moving backwards. He'll start shaking his head yes when he gets hit with good shots, as most of Floyd's opponents do. Zab Judah, Shane Mosley. All you got to do is watch those fights. You'll see that as Floyd catches them with flush shots, they shake their head yes to acknowledge that, yes, you caught me with a good shot. Anybody who thinks that Floyd can't punch, they really don't understand fighting or the boxing game.
No, I don't disrespect anyone that get into that ring, first and foremost. But the fact that the way, first of all, both guys will be nervous. We don't say that, but we are nervous in the ring.
Right.
But we control it with our composure. But again, that punch there, there's those punches you don't see that hurt.
Okay. All right. I hear you. I got it. But that works in reverse also.
But he throwing it for so far, Floyd's going to be able to... Oh, he's throwing that for Reno. Oh, here come that left. Block with the right.
Okay, so I am now speaking to the man I consider the greatest boxing strategist in history. Nobody, especially during a fight, could calculate and reset and recalculate the way this man could.
Well, Floyd could. Floyd made better in-fight adjustments than Ray Leonard did. Now, prior to the fight, Ray Leonard would oftentimes have a great game plan. But during the fight, Floyd Mayweather is the greatest of all time. I'm sorry, but Ray, the way you blew the first Duran fight, when you basically allowed him to have the only way he could win the fight is if you brawled with him and you decided to brawl with him. So, no, I can't have him being the best of all time when he gave away a fight like that.
Good. Right. Wait.
At least the best of all time in regards to adjustments. He should have made the adjustment in the fight to box Roberto Duran as opposed to try to go to war with him. That's the only chance that Roberto had, and he gave him that chance.
Right. Whatever was required, you would crack the code to win the fight, even if you were against a superior opponent. I believe that McGregor has a higher boxing IQ than you're giving him credit for, that he has great imagination to go with that IQ. So he's going to throw lots of different stances that Floyd has never seen. Because remember, Conor wasn't schooled the way you were schooled.
Skip is so desperate. He's going to throw lots of different stances. Look, at the end of the day, they're boxing by Marcus of Queensberry rules. There's only one way to skin a cat. I don't care whether if you're using a knife or razor blade. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same shit.
You were schooled. You guys are taught from, I don't know when you started, but what was your first year boxing? Like 9? Yeah. Okay, right away, you're taught textbook this, you counter with that. It's just, you're taught, it's just ingrained in your brain, this is how you box.
Right.
And nobody could box better than this man. I think he's pound for pound the greatest ever. But the point is that...
the pound for pound greatest ever, you have to go by eras to me. And it's not to digress. I know a lot of people say Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson is the greatest of his era. All right? He's the greatest of his era. I can't call him the greatest ever because styles make fights, and you never know how he would have done in a different era against other fighters. I mean, when you watch Ray Robinson's fight, you very, very rarely ever see him against other great black fighters who could match his foot movement or his rhythm. All right, there's a reason why he had so many problems with a guy like a Randy Turpin. Okay, he had severe problems with that man. He lost the first fight, and the second fight he was losing before he got the knockout. All right, so oftentimes he was in the ring against flat-footed Caucasian fighters. Now, one of the main criticisms of Mayweather is that he fought a lot of flat-footed Mexicans. Well, you cannot criticize Mayweather but not criticize Ray Robinson. All right, Floyd had more touchstone victories against black fighters than Ray Robinson did, and Ray was great. I mean, Ray had a couple of guys. I mean, he beat Kid Gavilan. I believe he beat him a couple times. He beat Kid Gavilan. Of course, he got the rematch with the knockout, but he ducked a guy named Charlie Burley. For those of you who don't know, he even told Charlie Burley, I can't fight you. I'm too pretty to fight you. That's what he told Charlie Burley.
Yeah. Conor McGregor was not taught the way anyone was taught. And in fact, I was intrigued by the fact he said, I don't want any boxing teacher to come try to teach me how to quote unquote box. He said, I'm going to stay with what I know, which is striking, which is different because he's going to come with different stances, Greco-Roman and Taekwondo and karate stance.
What the fuck is a Greco-Roman stance? What is Skip talking about, man? He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's just crazy and desperate. Oh, well, he's gonna do a ballroom stance where he just stands there with his legs spread and gets his ass kicked. Beats up Floyd.
Stances just to try to crack the code, to try to get Mayweather out of a comfort zone that he's always been in, because he's always boxed against guys who were taught the way Floyd was taught. If you do this, I counter with that, right?
Well put. Well put, Skip. In fact,
stop lying, Ray. It's a bunch of bullshit. Only thing I'll say is that, when you watch the Zab Judah fight, and I mentioned this before already, in the 5th round when Zab was getting his ass whooped, Zab tried to use 52 blocks on Floyd, and it kind of discombobulated Floyd for a second. Floyd was like, what the fuck is he doing?
the fact that with McGregor, if he gets, Mayweather will be against the ropes or the corner, and that's when those looping punches are effective. But it's not that easy to hit Floyd. For me, I choreograph the fights in the ring. And
so does Floyd. As I stated, he meditates and he visualizes the entire fight before it happens. That's why when he gets in there, nothing really catches him by surprise, and it's also why it's so easy for him to make adjustments.
And with McGregor, I think McGregor is going to, and he has to, fight. Throw his punches, work the body, bring the hands down, that kind of thing.
Okay? Now,
if McGregor tries to work Floyd's body, it's going to be a big mistake for him. He's going to get countered up top. He's going to get countered up top very, very hard. He's going to find that a lot of the shots that he throws that were working against sparring partners are not going to work against Floyd. And Floyd is going to set him up. Floyd's going to pivot on him. He's going to turn him. And he's going to go hard to McGregor's body. Like I said, all you have to do is watch any of Floyd's fights against southpaws. He's very aggressive. The only southpaw that he was not aggressive against was Pacquiao. And that's a testament to the greatness of Pacquiao and the respect that Floyd had for Pacquiao. All right, and also the fact that, as I've stated, he knew that he had to fight a safety-first style because the media was already stating that if he lost to Pacquiao, that his entire career and all of his achievements would be invalidated. That's what the media and many of the bullshit-ass fans stated. So when you guys look at that fight and you say that fight was boring, blame yourself, because you were the ones who tried to create all these trumped-up charges about Floyd prior to the fight. You stopped that fight from being exciting. You stopped it from being exciting when you stated that, and you stopped it from being exciting when you did not put the pressure on Pacquiao to take the test back in 2009.
Floyd is concerned about weight, and so he's made a disparaging remark about he's what do you call him, 10 pounds over pounds? Yeah. And to me, I think Floyd's biggest fear is that, remember, walking around, Conor McGregor's a natural 170-pounder. Floyd?
Doesn't matter. Floyd is not worried about Conor's weight. Floyd is worried about his contractual obligations and the fact that if he is overweight, he's going to have to pay for every pound. That's customary in boxing. once again, Skip does not know what the fuck he's talking about. At least at high level fighting. In championship bouts, when you're over the weight limit, it's very, very common for fighters to put stipulations into the contract in regards to poundage and money per pound that you're over.
Floyd's a natural 147 pounder, and Conor has goaded and taunted him from the start about, you're just too little. And I believe that's not just fight hype. I think he really believes that Floyd's just too little. He keeps saying, little head, little torso, little legs. Floyd's a little man. He is, if you've been around Floyd, he's a little man. So I think the fear is that Conor will try to just manhandle him, overpower him, just power through all the sweet science, all the everything. Floyd's the ultimate textbook how to avoid punches.
I understand that too.
Just bully it. Yeah. Just attack it.
And
you could tell Skip really wishes in his, as he would say, heart of hearts, he really wishes that he could do that to Floyd. Right? He lives vicariously through Floyd's opponents. He really wishes that he could bully and bum rush Floyd. But he knows his old ass can't do nothing but sit there and continue to deteriorate at a rapid pace.
And McGregor feels that he's the bigger man. And in fact, he is the bigger man. But again, with Floyd, it's like, okay. You know,
Sloppy Joe. Sloppy, my bloodhead. What happened?
What happened?
But can I ask you this? In boxing, you're taught that your hands and feet, they're tied together. Where Conor McGregor, while he might get in all these stances, he's getting in these different stances in the MMA ring because he's trying to kick, he's trying to knee, he's trying to do different things. Now, if he's trying to tie his feet to his hands, and that's something that he's not used to, he can't generate the same power. It's different when you punch and you sit down on the punches as opposed to just...
Right. But McGregor can punch. He can punch. I mean, that stuff here, that's just fun and games. One of my concerns too with this fight is the fact that if McGregor gets hit and hurt, he's going to resort back to what he does naturally, instinctively, intuitively. He's going to pop, 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 and then kick. That could possibly happen.
It could happen.
It may happen, but I doubt it. I believe that the intensive training that he's done in his fight camp has most probably worked a lot of those knee-jerk reactions out of his system. But I mean, we'll see. I believe that if he gets hurt, the first thing he's going to do is hold. He's going to try to hold on for dear life, and it's only going to lead to him getting knocked out.
It could happen.
So think about that.
I agree. It could happen.
I mean, if someone hit me in the back like now, pop. First thing I'll
put your guard up.
It's natural, but naturally, this could be the case.
It could be. It also could be used just as a distraction, and the ref's going to have to say stop it, or he's going to have to lose a point over it, or whatever, just to get in Floyd's head. And I think Conor's done a really good job through all of their media sessions getting in Floyd's head. He is, to me, McGregor's a better trash talker than Floyd is. And it got to Floyd to the point Floyd finally said, okay, you want 8-ounce gloves? I'll go 8-ounce gloves.
No, I think that Floyd just went to 8-ounce gloves because he didn't want McGregor to have any excuses, and also it was a way to juice up the fight. And I think that it was a very good ploy, a very intelligent ploy by Floyd Mayweather, as most of his business decisions in regards to boxing are.
Down from 10. I thought we were at 154 so that Floyd could ensure that he would have those big pillows on his hand.
No, they were at 154 because Floyd most likely didn't want to have the pressure of having to get down to 147. But, maybe he just wanted to go to 154 so that Conor would feel comfortable.
It's interesting. This fight will it help boxing? Will it help MMA? Yes. I mean, buzz. People talking. Everyone's talking about this fight. But this fight is about bragging rights. This is about the neighborhood. It's about your sport. Boxers beat MMA fighters, or MMA fighters beat boxers. These two guys, they made a bucket of money, but it's really about bragging rights.
Do you feel like, real quick, is boxing on trial here? We talked about this yesterday. That would there be some shame involved if somehow the MMA guy landed one wild punch and dropped Floyd? would that hurt your heart about boxing? Would it hurt the popularity?
It won't hurt the popularity. I mean, boxing is a very, it can endure so much, and it has for hundreds of years.
Thousands of years.
But this is more personal. This is a personal fight. It's about these two guys.
I agree. It's a personal fight, and it's also Floyd Mayweather doing what he does, which is trailblaze. The things that Floyd Mayweather has done for his sport and for athletics in general are not going to be properly understood until they're put in proper context by somebody who actually respects history as opposed to narrative, and that's many years from now. This is a guy who has popularized full random blood testing in sports, in athletics, things that have now been implemented in the major sports because of him. This is a guy who has taken control of his own finances in a way that no other athlete has done in any sport. This is a guy who is now hybridizing sports with this bout. The things that he has done are unprecedented in sports, and, from a business perspective. And people do not truly understand that, and they won't for many years until it's put in, until it's chronicled by somebody who actually understands and respects the importance of true history as opposed to narrative.
Who feel that they're the man, and again, a lot of pride is involved in this fight.
And a lot of ego.
A lot of huge egos.
Will the 8-ounce glove make that big of a difference?
For me, yes, the gloves, because my thing is speed, so I want smaller gloves.
Right.
And Floyd, speed, smaller gloves helps him, and it helps McGregor because it's like punching with your fists.
Right.
The 8-ounce gloves.
Well, we'll find out what happens on Saturday. Be sure to catch up Sugar Ray Leonard on the Mayweather-McGregor prelims Saturday on Fox. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So yes, that was the great Sugar Ray Leonard. All right, so now the great pound for pound #1 fighter, Andre Ward. He also made an appearance to give his take on the Mayweather-McGregor super fight. Let's see what he has to say.
Welcome back to that gym grand in Las Vegas. 32 have tried and 32 have failed. Our next guest is the current light heavyweight champion, the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. The crowd's loving it. Andre Ward tied it up to join us.
The nerve of Andre Ward.
Right?
My friend and at times broadcast partner. I've worked a lot of his fights, and he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world and an all-time great. But the nerve of Andre Ward, coming off an 8th-round knockout of dominant pound-for-pound elite world champion Kovalev, Sergey the Crusher Kovalev, talking about Floyd Mayweather can't stop a guy making his pro debut. The nerve of Andre Ward.
I didn't say he wasn't going to stop him. I just said it's going to be interesting. And I knew you were going to start with that this morning, telling me that McGregor has 0 shot. He has a slim shot.
Can we go to negative numbers?
A shot nonetheless. Huh?
Can we go to negative numbers? I'm below 0.
Listen,
like negative something percentage.
McGregor has a country behind him. He's got a lot of pride.
Gonna need to bring him.
He's not going to lay down. Listen to what I'm telling you.
I agree with that. Conor McGregor is not going to lay down. He's not going to fold. Floyd is going to have to really break him down. Especially the first 3-4 rounds are going to be very important in Floyd establishing who's the master in that ring and exactly where Conor McGregor's place is. And it's going to take a lot of body work. It's going to take a lot of rough housing.
He's not going to lay down. That doesn't mean he's going to win the fight. Floyd Mayweather's 49-0 for a reason, but early, you're going to get your money's worth.
Andre, I find it interesting because we haven't really had anybody from the boxing background think Conor has even a slim shot. It's only been the MMA side of things. How far do you see this fight going?
I really can't see it going past 6 rounds. I mean, Floyd Mayweather is a human computer. So he's not going to take any crazy chances at this stage in his career. He's going for the record, 50-0. 49 times in his career, he's gone about things a certain way where he's taking his time. He tries to understand what his opponent is trying to do. He's going to do that in this fight.
Look, I hope that Floyd can get a stoppage around that time period, but it wouldn't shock me if the fight went all 12 rounds. It really wouldn't. Especially if Floyd sees that he has everything under control. Floyd will get very, very, very conservative and be content with the fight going all 12. Hopefully he doesn't have any hand issues during the fight.
He's going to see a different look because of the MMA type of style. It's not going to be a traditional style. But once Floyd processes what's going on around, round 3, round 4, it's going to turn into a beating, and they're going to have some decisions to make.
No one knows, like, there are a couple of fighters in the last 20 or 30 years who know as much technical boxing as Andre Ward. Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather. This man knows a lot more than me.
No shit. No shit. Your job is to sit there and talk shit like most Caucasian liberal Jews do. Try to act like you're an expert on every fucking thing. I don't know a goddamn thing.
About, and more than almost everybody, about the technical aspects of boxing. But I want to explain to you, apologies, the psychological reason that Andre Ward here thinks that it'll be interesting for a round or two.
So you're just going to break my whole situation down.
I'm going to break your whole situation down. I know you a little bit. The reason you think that is because you're undefeated in the best pound for pound for the exact same reason Floyd is. You don't take anyone for granted. If another man is standing in that corner, you take that seriously. No matter what the critics say, the media says, I've seen you before every fight, you get mean and ornery and the same exact thing. And you're not trying to hear anyone like me who has told you before, this guy can't. You're not trying to hear that. That's why you're undefeated. That's why Floyd's undefeated. And that's precisely the reason McGregor does not stand a chance.
But what do you say about the age difference?
Yes, the age difference will be a factor, and I've already stated that, and I'm happy that Andre Ward harps on that. Look, Floyd is a genetic freak. The way that he loses weight, the way that his body reacts to his workouts, he is a genetic freak. But he is also 40 years old, and guys can lose it. Guys can lose it in one night. So we'll definitely gonna have to see. And Conor McGregor may be a genetic freak. Who knows? He does have a high degree of belief in himself, as well as coordination. He has a good amount of rhythm, good amount of hand-foot coordination. So we'll see.
I don't care, Floyd.
Even though that sparring match with Malignaggi, he was very, very awkward. He has a lot of stiff martial art footwork, and it's not fluid like it's going to need to be in a boxing match. Like I said, he doesn't pivot well. So we'll see.
Floyd's 60. That man is not losing to a guy making his pro debut. Pro debut!
So you think everything that McGregor's saying is just...
No, McGregor believes it. That's why he's a great fighter. He's a great fighter, but he's an all-around fighter. MMA, he's got to worry about takedowns and arm bars and stuff. He has to be a jack of all trades. Floyd's a master of one, and that's what they're going to be doing.
And I'm going to say this. Like I said, I'm going to be on the record once again. He's not going to win the fight, but he's not going to go away quiet.
Oh, he's not going out like a punk. No way.
McGregor's going to do something, and I understand they're saying it's a hefty fine, but wherever that middle ground is, McGregor's going to play that middle ground. He's not just going to lay down.
It wouldn't shock me if, especially from distance, McGregor tries to entertain the crowd by doing some crazy martial arts shit, maybe throwing some type of butterfly kick, spinning in the air, and Floyd just backing up and laughing and looking at him like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
My philosophy is very clear. I give a puncher a 1% chance in any fight.
Hello.
If you get caught, I don't care who you are, you're going to feel it. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the only shot that I give McGregor. He doesn't have a shot as a boxer. He doesn't have a shot on the outside. But here's where, Andre, where Max and I have tussled over this issue. I expect McGregor to be the aggressor. I think it's his only chance. Now, obviously, that makes him target practice for Floyd. But you have to understand, I'm not just talking about somebody that's stalking you and swinging. I'm talking about a guy that within limits, as much as he can get away with it, is going to try to maul you and hold you and shoulder you and elbow you.
Yeah, he's going to try a lot of that stuff, but he's going to look foolish trying to do it because, once again, he doesn't have any experience fighting up close in a boxing style. He just doesn't have it. Plus, his stance is very statuesque. He always has his chin up in the air. All right, these are things that I believe are going to show and make a big difference in the fight. Now, Andre, as Max already spoke about, Andre has the curse of the gifted. Now, he's always going to think, the negative possibilities because that's how he maintains his perfect record. Also, he wants to make those type of statements just in case he ends up being right. He could look like a genius. But, more likely than not, Floyd is going to dominate. But there's that factor of age there. No doubt about it.
And do the kind of things that MMA fighters get away with doing in their professional sport. You can't convince me that this is what has made you successful. A world-class fighter in this profession. And all of those tactics are going to get ignored just because you're in a boxing ring, when there are components in a boxing ring that you can actually utilize that happen in the UFC. That's where I'm going with this, which is why I say anything can happen.
Except a real punch landing, a big punch landing clean.
Go ahead, Trey.
You know, when guys fight you, a lot of times you've been unfairly criticized. Oh, it's a boring fight. Hold on, because Andre's neutralized the other guy's offense.
That's what they say about the Masters.
What? Right.
Yeah.
Why does...
Absolutely. They always say that about as Andre says, the maestros, the masters. Why? Because they make it look easy. They're not going to engage in a slugfest. They're going to nullify what you do and dominate you. And if they don't happen to have that great knockout punch, as unfortunately most maestros tend not to have, most maestros do not have a one-punch knockout. All right? I mean, other than Ray Robinson, there's not many maestros who have that one-punch knockout power. And no, I do not consider Roy Jones a maestro. I consider him a genetic freak, basically, a genetic anomaly. All right? But as Andre said, they call the maestros boring. And matter of fact, for a while in the late 90s, Larry Merchant used to try to imply that Roy Jones was boring because he wasn't getting as many stoppages. There was a span in the late 90s when Roy was fighting at light heavyweight, 175-pound weight limit, where he was getting a lot of decisions, and he basically got suckered into moving up to heavyweight to add some juice to his career and to his legacy, where he ended up getting probably the greatest win of his career against what's this cat's name? The Puerto Rican cat who was the heavyweight champion. He beat him and then came back down, and he was never the same after that.
Why does the other guy just go in and throw punches at Andre? You tell me why he doesn't go in and throw punches. You're not in a position to be hit, and if he does try, you're gonna make him pay for his mistakes. Same thing with Floyd against guys like Canelo and Pacquiao and those guys. But a dude making his pro debut, never fought in the amateurs 15 years ago, not even internationally, gonna beat him?
Yeah, they're traditional boxers. They don't have the mindset that McGregor has in terms of the roughhouse tactics. You're gonna see a couple of elbows. You're gonna see an arm bar. Oh, sorry, man. You're gonna see that kind of stuff, and that's why I say early is gonna be interesting.
That's a great point. Floyd has to be very, very careful how he allows himself, how he allows his arms to get clinched by McGregor. McGregor could try, an arm bar or possible attempt at an arm break, but I've seen guys try to break Floyd's arm in the clinch before.
But again, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're gonna see the master take over, and you'll see why he's 49.
One of the questions I had to ask you, and I said this to Max, you know better than both of us, being the champion that you are. I'm thinking, is it possible that Floyd could just destroy this man, hit him with everything? And despite the fact that he's getting schooled and he can't land a punch on Floyd and all this other stuff, he just keeps coming?
I seriously doubt that, because Conor McGregor does not fight in a brutish way. When I say brutish, I mean he's not a guy who's going to take a bunch of punches in order to deliver his own. Not if he can help it. All right. He likes to consider himself a very skilled artist at whatever he does, whether it's MMA, and I'm sure he's going to bring that same mindset into the boxing ring, right? At least early, he's going to try to bring that same mindset. But no, he's not a guy who's going to just sit there and take a hellacious beating and just keep coming face first like a Tex Cobb or Chuck Wepner. That's not his mindset.
Is that possible?
I think it's possible, but I think, the punishment is going to sink in at some point. He can't go 12 rounds. I mean, anything is possible, but he's not going to go 12 rounds. The question is, what round is it going to end? Is it going to be white flag situation where his team comes in and saves him?
Yes, that's what I believe it's going to be. McGregor is far too valuable a commodity to allow him to get beat down in a boxing ring. There are cases of MMA fighters who have attempted to make the transition to boxing who have been killed in the ring because of the difference in punching power from a boxer, to an MMA fighter. The difference in punching power is rather stark in regards to how much harder a boxer hits than an MMA fighter. And a lot of people just don't understand that.
Is he going to quit, or is he going to be looking up at the lights? I think you got to just take your pick and decide how it's going to actually happen.
They're not going to let him quit. They're going to throw the towel in. If they don't throw the towel in, Dana White's going to make a call and make them throw the towel in.
Who will be aggressive first, you think?
I think McGregor's going to try to be the aggressor if there's going to be an aggressor.
I think McGregor's going to be aggressive from the standpoint that he's going to try to impress Floyd with his technique. Like I stated, it wouldn't surprise me to see him try to throw some type of wild wheel kick from distance that where he knows he cannot hit Floyd, just to entertain the crowd and possibly intimidate him, like how a peacock, tries to intimidate with the spreading of the feathers. Just gestures that don't really mean anything, but just to show that, look, I know that I'm here to conform to your rules, but this is what I can do if given the opportunity. It wouldn't shock me at all just to see him do some ridiculous shit like that and have Floyd stand back and just laugh at him.
Floyd, again, he's got a lot on the line. It's not time to start taking silly risks right now at this stage in your career, 40 years old, going for the record of 50-0. So he's going to beat Floyd, but then at the right time, when he feels like it's time, he'll step it up and start walking McGregor down. Yes,
I agree with that. He will try to start walking him down, especially if he sees that he's getting the reaction that he wants from the right hands to the body that he's going to probably try to throw early in the fight. And I also think he's going to test McGregor's reaction time to his jab.
Andre,
I agree with that analysis.
We'll get a few rounds, though.
I think it might go past 6, 7, or 8, maybe, depending on it, because Conor does not fight as aggressively as people think. He's a back foot fighter, really.
Gotta leave it there. Wish we had more time with you. Give it up for Andre Ward.
I bet you do wish you had more time with him. With your black man loving ass.
Thanks so much for being here and for giving this guy a hard time for us. When we come back here from that.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the great champion Andre Ward. Paulie Malignaggi, the former 2-weight world champion, also made an appearance to give his prognostication on the Mayweather and McGregor fight, and also give some background to the contention between him and McGregor. Let's see what he had to say.
He's been my friend. You know what? I even told my friend. I said, you know what? My friend called me. My friend called me and said, Floyd, do you want me to go to camp? I said, absolutely. But you probably you mind if I sign this?
Yo, go right ahead. Go right ahead, champ. Go right ahead, champ.
You know, this right here, this is special.
That's priceless.
This is one of my friends.
That's priceless.
This gonna stay in Paulie family forever.
Suckers. Especially after that. Suckers.
Oh, don't worry, Paulie. Paulie gonna stay at the house and talk about strategy. And we gonna talk about everything. Don't you worry. Paulie, thank you for going over there like I asked you to do. And he made it look good when he grabbed you and threw you down.
You got it, champ.
That was a good one.
Good work.
Floyd is a master troll, man.
Yesterday. What's your relationship with Floyd now?
Me and Floyd are friends, a lot of times I come to town and I don't get to see him. He's always traveling or, we miss each other and whatnot. So, this is a chance to see the final workout of his career. It was a chance to see my boy when he's in town, which is also a rarity because, like I said, I come to town so many times and he's not here anyway. So, it was more a situation where I was going to say what's up. And, of course, people are going to talk about it, But I just wanted to, see how he was looking in the workout, see how sharp he was looking.
And also Floyd wanted to use it as an opportunity to levy a mental attack on Conor McGregor, which is something that Floyd often does. Floyd does utilize spies. I don't know if Paulie was one of his spies or not, or he just decided to capitalize off of the situation between Paulie and McGregor to imply that he used Paulie as a spy. I doubt that he really did. But, Floyd, like I stated, is a master troll, a master manipulator. At this age, at 40 years old, Floyd is not going to try to match McGregor in bombast. All he's going to do is, utilize higher level mental tricks and mental warfare. He doesn't have time for all the yelling and screaming, trying to see who could yell louder. He's not going to do that.
And just go say what's up, because like I said, I keep missing him.
By the way, quick point of order. My partner across the table suggested a couple of weeks ago that you were a little fat and out of shape in that video. You look good to me, man.
I've lost some weight
so
since
you lost some.
then.
It's easy for boxers to get back in shape. The muscle memory, the way that they train, guys can lose 10 pounds in a week easy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to make weight.
Tell them what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. What, with the knockdown or the quote-unquote knockdown?
How they flew you in.
Yeah, of course. But of course, listen, that's in and of itself something else. You'll never see that house because they won't show that house, But that's personal stuff here and there.
What house?
The house where they put the sparring partners. They'll show.
Look, I've stated this already. Paulie is an A-class boxing analyst. He was a C-class champion. What's a C-class champion? A C-class champion is a guy who's able to get belts when he gets when he gets a proper fight, meaning when he's properly matched. All right. They've always known that Paulie is not a guy who can beat top-notch fighters. He pretty much has been used as a gateway fighter. A gateway fighter, just basically somebody who's used to show that an up-and-coming fighter is legitimate. All right. That's what Adrian Broner is becoming. He's becoming a gateway fighter. Paulie has been a gateway fighter, and he doesn't mind being it because he likes money. And so, he doesn't mind being used as a gateway fighter for guys like Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. But that's what he is. And now he's trying to leverage a lot of the attention that he's getting due to his connection with both Floyd and Conor for a possible fight with Conor next year, which makes a lot of sense. But Paulie is definitely, he's just a gateway fighter in the sport. He always has been, even when he was a champion. But he is an A-class analyst.
They'll show you the house with the trainers stayed at. But it wasn't even that. I didn't take that.
Did you fly in on the same day?
I flew in the night before.
You flew in the night before. So you actually got to sleep before you.
Oh yeah, of course. But you got jet lag.
That's not what I heard from my partner.
Well, listen,
right?
the bottom line is this. Skip. The bottom line is this. Skip. The bottom line is this. Like I said, there's a reason I want to come on here because I love the tough questions. Because I have the truth. So you can give me all the tough questions you want. I have the truth.
And plus, you're a great talker.
At day's end, we used to box 12 rounds. You couldn't find 30 seconds concurrently running that he could run a video of. If he dominated 12 rounds, 36 minutes, you can run a 30-second video surely concurrently with no edits and no cuts from one side to another. Surely you can do that if you dominated that like that, right?
Paulie, is not his job to make you look good in a film role that he's putting out about himself. At the end of the day, whether the film role that he put out was, a 10-second clip that was patched together, or the whole sparring match, which nobody puts out before a big fight, you still got, thoroughly dominated and caught with shots that you should not have been caught with. A guy who, stated that you could beat him easily, that you could beat him with ankle weights on, and, he beat the shit out of you, even in that little clip. So, I'm sorry, bro. No.
Right. So I feel like I have the truth. Do you see this video here? You're seeing right here. They clipped it from round 12. I wasn't in 12-round shape. I thought I was honestly going to camp to do 4 and 6 rounds at a time, which is usually what sparring partners do. 4 to 6 rounds here, bring another guy, 4 and 6 rounds with him. I said, okay, I'm in 4 to 6 round shape. I'm not in 12-round shape, but I'm in 4 to 6 round shape. The fact that I can do 12 rounds, doesn't that tell you a little bit more?
Yeah, it does. I agree with that. But Paulie, you've also been known as being a rugged guy, a guy who could take blows. I mean, that's one thing that you can do is take a good ass whooping. So the fact that you went 12 rounds with him, it doesn't really speak as much to him as it does to the fact that you've always been able to take a good ass whooping. So he could have whooped your ass, for all 12 rounds. Who knows? You've gotten your ass whooped for 12 rounds against top-notch fighters before. So, I mean, I from the little bit that I saw, Conor's definitely awkward. I'm not saying that he's especially proficient at boxing at all, but if you're trying to prove that that you were competitive with him, well, what really is that saying about you? I mean, bro, you're a former 2-time world champion, and you basically were fighting life or death for 12 rounds with a guy who has never fought professional.
It's probably women I wouldn't have been able to do 12 rounds with. You know what I mean? So it should now tell you a little bit more. And this.
I think people took his comment as a sexual comment when really he was talking about female boxers.
This clip of the knockdown, if you actually slow it down, you have to slow it down because it's done very well. You have to slow it down. I'll tell you the dynamics of this quote unquote knockdown. The dynamics of it is he's pushing down my head. I'm pushing up. I'm pushing up. I'm pushing down my head and I'm pushing up. Now there's a trick in boxing. When you push down a guy's head, you can do two dirty things because this is dirty. You can hit him with an uppercut, or you can let him go, knowing his head is going to pop up and time the hook. So I know those two tricks as I'm getting my head pushed down. I'm assuming McGregor is familiar with those two tricks. So as I'm pushing up, I'm also pushing away with my front foot. I'm pushing away from him. So he's pulling down, I'm pushing away from him. So when he lets me go, because he actually misses a little short hook inside, and it's actually a smack, it's not even a little hook. When he lets me go, I go flying, So that's the whiplash effect of tug of war, and you let go of the rope, right? So, and of course, you're playing your whole promotion on this. Isn't it been secure? I don't know. I felt like at day's end, I was going there to work,
Well, that's where you severely erred, bro. As I've already stated, at the end of the day, a lot of people in America are trained to be provocateurs, to try to provoke people with their mouthpiece, talk a lot of shit, and then they see the person and they think everything is hunky-dory, everything's okay. Overseas, other countries, they don't operate like that. Other places, you talk a lot of shit. When they see you, it's going to be, okay, what's up now? So you were a fool to go into that type of an environment, number one, and expect that they were going to be utilizing conventional boxing training techniques. And number two, to believe that you were just going to go there and be a name fighter that they were bringing into an MMA stars boxing camp, and that you were just going to be a regular sparring partner, especially after you talked all that shit. So that was very, very simple-minded of you.
I wasn't going to complain about the house. Was it the best house? No, but I would have kept it to myself. I didn't care, But at day's end, when you put the whole story together, my final day there, I had a 9 p.m. appointment at the gym. They called me, made me show up to the gym at 3:30 to tell me I'm not sparring and that I can't work out because Conor has to use the gym and I can't use the gym. So why'd you tell me to show up at 3:30 for? Just to tell me I couldn't work out? So there was just little things that I felt were being done on purpose, and I said, this ain't for me, man. What am I going to do with this 2.5 more weeks of this? This is being done on purpose. There's an agenda here. I'll leave. And I didn't want to leave because I felt like if I leave, people are going to say, they're going to try to run it as we ran our ex-world champion out of camp. So I didn't want to leave. But by the time everything added up together, I said, all right, this is going to be an everyday thing here. I got to stay guarded every day. So I'm going
Okay,
home.
so is it fair to say you disliked Conor before this?
No, I honestly didn't dislike Conor before. See, people talk about the trash talk that I had 6 months before. The trash talk that I had 6 months before was just about trying to get a fight, right? Everybody's trying to get a fight. I've had disputes in the media with fighters. I don't know how familiar you are with boxing, with guys like Devin Alexander, Robert Guerrero, even Demetrius Hopkins during my first world title reign. When the fights didn't happen, we didn't keep that beef.
First world title reign? I wouldn't go so far as to call it a reign, man. I remember the little beef that you had with Devin Alexander, but once again, a lot of these people from these other countries, these other cultures, they don't operate like American or Americanized people do. But all that shit talking, and then everything is is cool. He should have went in there prepared for war.
I see any of those guys right now. We gave each other a hug. We pound each other up. It's all good because we understand it's a business, and sometimes you try to make a fight for the money. You try to make a fight for the competition, and if it happens, yes, you start to dislike each other for real because you're about to fight. But if it doesn't happen, we're all brothers in this thing, man. We're all trying to make money out of this thing. So when we see each other, there's no hard feelings with those guys. I never fought them. There's no hard feelings. There's actually a lot of respect.
Well, the thing about McGregor, when you really analyze his psychological makeup, anybody could have deduced that he wasn't going to go along with that type of mentality. He doesn't seem like the most gregarious guy. And when I say that, I don't say that in an insulting way. He seems like a guy who has his group, his circle, and he doesn't go outside of that circle. Most heavily driven people are like that. Most heavily driven people have their circle of people, 4 or 5 people, whether it be cousins or immediate family members or friends, that they don't go outside that circle. All right. So people like that tend to be so self-willed and self-driven that when they're challenged, they take it automatically as a serious confrontational issue that they have to resolve immediately by conquering that person.
So I took it as when Conor calling me to camp, it was, that stuff wasn't really stuff that he was thinking about. But I wasn't. Surely you don't bring an enemy into camp. Surely, if you consider somebody an enemy,
sure you do. You bring him into camp if you intend to whoop that ass. If you're there to set some type of precedent in regards to what you're going to do to boxers. Sure you do. That's where you erred. That is where you severely erred, man. That shows you why you were a C-class champion. No disrespect. A-class champions, they go into every foreign territory prepared for war.
You don't bring him into camp. I know I wouldn't. I don't know anybody sane wouldn't. So I wasn't looking at it as these guys looking at me as the enemy. I was looking at it as these guys probably want me for some boxing and maybe to ask you some questions.
Now, didn't I say in my previous video with Paulie that he thought he was going to go in there and be a coach? Why the fuck would they bring you in there to be a coach for? Bro, you're a C-class champion, man. They weren't thinking about your ass for tips. I mean, if they're going to look for tips, they go to a serious boxing trainer and hire him.
Whether they do or ask me or not is up to them. But I was just going there just
so they didn't ask you any questions.
No,
right?
no, I wasn't even allowed to be in the gym when he was working.
I got you.
Because that was part of the problem.
Is it fair to say that you now?
No, that wasn't part of the problem. You were not allowed to be in the gym when he was working out because he didn't trust you. That's why.
Now despise Conor McGregor?
I wouldn't say this. Despise is a hard word. Despise is a tough word.
Don't like?
Yeah. I'd say that's unfinished business. Peter Kahn had an article yesterday in Forbes, this past couple of days in Forbes, and he said, St. Patrick's Day will be a good time to settle the unfinished business with me and Conor. But let's first focus on Saturday night. I want to see how he looks. I want to see, what all the hubbub is about, all this talk is about, right?
Man, don't try to act like you waiting for Saturday to figure out how he looks. You'll take that fight regardless. If Conor gets knocked out in 3 rounds, you'll still take that fight if you can get it. All right? Just knock it off.
All right. I mean, they say he's been doing such great things in camp. I think he's got a lot of intensity. I'll give it to you. I think he's the younger guy, and the younger guy will always bring more intensity than the older guy. The older guy's kind of more, going to have a little bit more intelligence and maybe a little calmness to him. That intensity can work for him, but it may not work for him. And that's why we watch the fight on Saturday night.
So, Paulie, you're going to be on the Showtime team as a commentator.
Yeah.
Commentating on this fight on Saturday night. Yeah, we just saw the video of you. You look like you're on the money team now also,
well, here's
right?
the thing, Skip. Yeah, and again, that's why I'm here. I love these tough questions. I'm an X's and O's guy. Just like I explained to you the knockdown, the X's and O's of it, the dynamics of that knockdown.
I give you that.
Damn, little shorty right there next to Paulie's right shoulder. She ain't no joke. But anyway, it's funny. They're talking about how unimpartial or how partial Paulie could potentially be because of his association with Floyd Mayweather. For years, boxing fans who both rooted for and against Floyd were forced to be subjected to the meanderings of Larry Merchant, who clearly despised Floyd Mayweather. So, it's just interesting that somebody would be worried about the potential partiality that Paulie Malignaggi may show towards Floyd. Only thing that he could do is call a fight. Floyd Mayweather's 49-0. Floyd doesn't need anybody to talk, glowingly about him. It's clear to anybody who knows boxing that the vast majority of things that you would say about Floyd in a boxing ring would be overwhelmingly positive.
And I explain that stuff when I'm on the broadcast too. So when I explain things on the broadcast in this way, I'm allowing you to follow along. I'm not telling you to take sides. I'm not telling anybody to take sides. I'm going to tell you what Conor may do. I'm going to tell you what Floyd may do. As it's happening, if something different may be happening, I'm going to explain to you what's happening instead, or if those things that I said are happening. So you can actually start to follow along. A lot of times if things I'm explaining start to happen, the viewer can follow along a little better, and they say, okay, and then I'll ask you I'll tell you the adjustment that needs to be made. There's no opinion there, because anybody can give an opinion.
Absolutely, and that's what makes Paulie by far the best boxing analyst on television today. It's not even close second.
How can you now be at all objective about what you're watching? Because it's hard for me to take you seriously as a commentator because I know where your heart is on all this. Your heart's with Floyd now.
Because there's no places to put your heart when you're commentating. Once again, I explained to you. Can you put opinion on X's and O's? Can you put opinion on the dynamic of what's happening?
It leaks in, whether you like it or not. It's just going to leak in.
Oh, that's your opinion.
The way you're
now you bring an opinion into it. No, now you bring an opinion into it. It's not.
Even beyond opinion, he's bringing his emotions. Skip acts like a bitch when it comes to Floyd Mayweather.
It's not. There's no way it can happen. If I'm explaining to you that Conor should be throwing the left hand a little bit differently than he is, or if Floyd Mayweather should be using this particular punch instead of this particular punch, if he is or isn't, and then it starts to happen or may not start to happen, I'm going to explain to you why it should be that way. I'm not just going to explain to you he should be doing this. That's like saying he should go into the body. Why should he go into the body? How's he going to close the distance to get to the body? You got to close the distance first in this mechanism, and then get to the body in this mechanism. There's no room for opinion there. Like I said, anybody can give an opinion. Not anybody can break down the action like I break it down. And I'm not trying to take credit for it, but I know my X's and O's in boxing. I didn't get.
Yes, you do. And like you said, basically nobody breaks down boxing like Paulie does. Skip is just saying that because he's trying to get under Paulie's skin. He doesn't like Paulie because he sees that Paulie's friendly with Floyd. It's like, it's like people do when they see that you're friendly or friends with somebody that they don't like. They try to start shit with you.
I didn't get a lot of knockouts in my career. I had to learn this thing.
You were a two-time champ at two different weight classes. The reason I believe, this is my opinion, the reason you were brought in by Conor and his team was because there was a little bad blood between you.
I agree that.
And he needed 12 rounds of basically boxing cardio to get him used to what it would feel like to go 12 3-minute rounds, and he wanted somebody credible who would give him all he wanted in that session.
I believe,
so that's what happened.
I believe so, but I was not told about the 12 rounds till the day before. When I arrived at the gym, there was a bunch of dignitaries that were invited to the gym, which I didn't like because I wasn't even allowed to have so much as a trainer in my training camp. I had to have the other sparring partners work my corner. So,
because, man, this is not a real boxing match. This is a show. All right, it's a real boxing match in name only. That's it. McGregor basically is getting the opportunity to fight a professional match because of his notoriety. So I don't understand why Paulie doesn't grasp that. Well, I don't know why he didn't grasp the fact that nothing about this is regular, and he should not have assumed that anything about this would have been regular before he entered himself into the fray.
All of a sudden, this whole secretive thing became so not secretive. When you surprised Paulie with 12 rounds he wasn't expecting, because you thought you were going to stop Paulie in the gym, because you were convinced Paulie's not ready for 12 rounds. So you're going to stop Paulie in the gym in front of these dignitaries, and then you're going to make yourself look good, and then we're going to blast it out. It didn't happen your way, and it ate at you for about a day. It did, because you didn't release the pictures for one day, and then 2 days later he couldn't handle it anymore. He had to release what he had, So at day's end, yeah, they did bring me in for the hidden agenda.
So how possible is it that you didn't really get Conor's best shot in those 12 rounds?
Because Conor doesn't have that many dimensions.
Exactly. Why would Conor not give him his best, but then release footage? All right, this shit is not making sense. Like Paulie said, you only been training professionally for 2 or 3 months. You don't even have time to master the nuances, right? Or as Paulie said, to develop that many dimensions, to know how to take heat off of punches in a boxing forum. Like, that wouldn't even make sense. He was clearly looking for the knockout. And the proof of that is, like Paulie said, he had a bunch of dignitaries there, a bunch of UFC bigwigs there to watch it.
There's only so many dimensions Conor has. You can't learn this kind of boxing in all these months. Boxing takes years to learn. Boxing, one thing about the intensity Conor has, I'll tell you this, one of the bad habits Conor, and you saw it in the video, inside MMA fighters on the inside, they grab, they have a tendency to grab all the time.
They do.
Learning to box on the inside is the most difficult thing to learn. And I'll explain to you why. Because again, I have to explain the X's and O's. You're in range of every single shot. Uppercuts, hooks, body uppercuts, hooks, head uppercuts, hooks. So as soon as you're in this range, there's a panic that will get you if you're not used to being in this range, if you don't grab or anything. You have to be in this range, in range of everything. There's a panic that gets to you. You know what I mean? There's a dangerous guy in front of you. So if you're not used to that, you're going to automatically grab. Because you have to not only have your defensive alert very high, you also have to be alert enough to find the openings and bang them in there. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot learn that in months. That takes years to learn. That was the final thing I was learning. I tell you what, I was still learning it at the end of my career.
And you didn't do a good job of learning it because every time somebody got inside on you, they whooped your ass. But in regards to Floyd, Floyd is one of the great inside fighters of the last 20 years. I mean, he's one of the great outside fighters of the last 20 years, too. But, a modern-day master of the inside fight game is Andre Ward. But if anybody wants to see an example of Floyd's prowess fighting on the inside, you can look at the first round against Maidana. You can go back and look at, I believe it was the 8th round against Chop Chop, where they basically fought nose to nose. So, I mean, Floyd is pretty much comfortable at any range, and we're going to see some of that tomorrow most likely, unless something strange and out of the ordinary happens.
It takes years to learn the inside game. So stuff like that you know, there's only so many dimensions the guy's going to bring to the table. You know, listen, he's an intense guy. He's working hard. He's an intense guy. You know, opinion aside, me and him, he's an intense guy. He's a hard worker. But at day's end, you can only learn so much. Plus, he has no boxing trainer there. You know,
he didn't want one. He said, "I'm out."
He likes cheerleaders. He does. The guy likes cheerleaders.
Stay with.
That's really why Paulie's mad. He's mad because he thought he was going to be a coach. Once again, why would Conor McGregor try to actually learn how to box in 3 months? That's how you know he got a bunch of strange and wild shit planned for tomorrow, man.
Stay with what he knows.
I hear you.
Even though you say it's not enough to know in a boxing.
Here's the thing, Skip. This isn't a psychology book. This isn't if you believe you can achieve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That stuff helps when you know what you're doing already. But you have to first know what you're doing. If the bus driver outside that drives around Las Vegas decides he's going to be a fighter and he just keeps reading, if you believe you can achieve, it doesn't mean he's going to go in there and win the undisputed heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so you just compare Conor to a bus driver?
Right? No.
Okay.
What I'm saying is it's the same analogy in that you have to know how to do it first before you can believe in it.
Okay, let me ask one more. I assume you wore 10-ounce gloves for this session. No?
16, that's another thing.
16,
wow, and that's the thing. And that's another thing. Boxing, you all the sport 14 or 16s. That's a misconception that people think you spar with smaller gloves. Why? Because otherwise you're going to start getting cut, busted up. You got to get to the fight. No boxers spar in small gloves because you have to reach the fight.
So how much?
Well, I believe that Ray Leonard was sparring in smaller gloves in preparation for his fight with Marvin Hagler, if I remember correctly. But like Paulie says, I mean, you can't be fighting. You can't be fighting and sparring with fight size gloves. You have training size gloves so that, like he says, you don't cut or damage yourself or your sparring partners before the time. I mean, that just makes no sense.
How much power did you feel in each of his fists with 16-ounce gloves?
And I sparred my whole career with 16-ounce gloves, so I'm comparing it. I'm not comparing it to guys that fought with 8-ounce gloves. I'm comparing it to other 16-ounce gloves. He has average to above average power. 16-ounce gloves. I've been hit softer than that. I've been hit harder than that. I've been hit softer than that by guys bigger than him. I've been hit harder than that by guys smaller than him. So it comes into play, and it's not a disrespectful kind of power.
I remember Paulie said that the hardest puncher that he's faced in sparring was a fighter named Amir Imam, who was a fighter who was severely on the upswing until he got stopped. I believe he got stopped by the Mexican cat from Chicago that Adrian Broner recently beat. I believe it was Adrian Granados. But that's the guy who I remember hearing Paulie say had intense power, like bone-shivering power, Amir Iman.
Power, but it's an above-average kind of power, maybe average to above average, and his intensity, if he works it the right way, he can make it work for him in that way.
Amir Imam, I-M-A-M.
That's how I break it down for you.
So, do you believe Floyd can live up to his guarantee he will knock this man out?
Here's the thing you have to keep in mind about Floyd. There's moments in Floyd's career where once he loses respect to you, he will walk you down. Now, it doesn't happen very often. He's got a lot of top fighters that he's fought. You know, you're not going to start walking down Canelo Alvarez because he's such a big puncher. He's bigger than you. Even if you're dominating him, you're going to be content to kind of just keep him in place. Manny Pacquiao, the same thing. A dangerous guy with a lot of speed. Dominating him, but I'm going to keep him in place. We look at guys like Zab Judah. Victor Ortiz, once he realized he broke him, start walking him down. Sean B. Mitchell broke him down to the
sucker punched him. He didn't walk him down.
Skip clearly has not watched the fight. He just talks shit all day. And this is why Floyd Mayweather Sr., when he's on their show, constantly disrespects Skip because he knows that Skip doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Floyd dominated that entire fight from start to finish, and he was walking him down numerous points of that fight.
Hey, listen, you can't hug 40 times. You got to protect yourself at all times.
I know, but he's talking to the referee.
But if I'll tell you what, if you get headbutted the way Victor headbutted Floyd,
he said it was intentional.
A 2-footed leap, you're not going to be looking to hug and talk and kiss. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be pretty aggravated. I'm going to punch you in your mouth too if you keep trying to hug me like that. You know, there's only two or three hugs you're going to give, right? Besides that, but what I'm saying is, ending of that fight aside, the mentality of Floyd, walking him down, taking it to him. Floyd has to respect you to not walk you down. And for the most part, he's had to respect his opponents because he's fought the best fighters in the world in this sport. But there comes a time where he starts to realize in his mind, this guy has nothing. I'm going to break him. Honestly, my prediction, I think Floyd starts to walk Conor down from the beginning. I'll tell you why. Floyd's a timing guy. But Conor's awkward. So it's hard to time an awkward guy. So how do you eliminate the timing from an awkward guy? You just take it right to him. Then there's nothing to time. You're initiating everything. You're just taking it right to him. A la Zab Judah. For the most part, when Floyd started that fight with Judah, hands high, guard, walking him down, it was more of a mental pressure, kind of to let him know, no, that you might be a puncher, but not tonight, buddy.
So your gut feeling is this will end quickly?
I don't think it's going to end quickly because Floyd's not a one-punch guy. I think Floyd has to, kind of get there, take it together. I think Conor's intensity comes into play again, see how he does.
And I already mentioned this, Conor's intensity is going to come into play early in the fight. I don't think Floyd's going to try to walk him down early. I do think he's going to stand his ground to a degree. Because he's going to need to plant his feet to land a lot of the hard right-hand shots to the body, especially the solar plexus that he's going to want to land. But I believe that he's going to displace himself every once in a while early in the fight until he feels like Conor's wore down.
And also, I think the way it unfolds when it's inside, because if Floyd's taking it to him, I believe there's going to be a lot of clenching, a lot of holding. I think the referee's going to have his hands full because Conor, out of confusion, grabs you a lot and pushes your head down a lot. It's out of confusion. He doesn't have any other answers. There's no way you can learn to fight on the inside in boxing in a matter of months. So it's out of confusion. And at a certain point, it's going to go from confusion to survival, that holding. You know what I'm saying? So when it goes from confusion to survival, that's when the end is near. But
especially when he tries to hold Floyd and Floyd uses one of his tactics to escape the hold and gives him a couple of blows to the body, for good measure.
But it's going to take some time because a lot of wrestling is going to kill time. It's going to kill the action. I think the fans are going to start booing because the referee's going to have to be forced to warn hard.
I agree with that.
But people have to understand there's a way you do this.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, you haven't asked a thing. It's your turn.
We're going to go to break, hey? I get him on the next.
Come on, you're Shannon Sharpweather. You got a question?
Yeah, with them goddamn green pants on looking like the damn Riddler. What the hell do Shannon be wearing, man? Nigga, they looking like a damn giant leprechaun.
Conor is southpaw, Floyd is orthodox, and normally rule of thumb is that you go to your left, you put your left foot, Floyd's left outside of Conor's right, you go to his right, and you can land that lead right all day, all night. And because I think Conor has only one punch. Skip think he has dynamite in both hands. I think he's a one-hitter quitter with the overhand left. That's the only punch he has.
You just called him a quitter?
I said the overhand left, a one-hitter quitter, which means one punch knockout power. That's what, you know what I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Skip don't know a damn thing about boxing. I was talking about he covered some Ali fights. Skip is such a damn liar. Sometimes when it suits him, he says that he covered multiple Ali fights, but then he finally confessed and said the only Ali fight that he covered was the rematch against Leon Spinks. Looked like little shorty there, little Tony shorty that's giving Shannon the eye too.
We say that word in Brooklyn too. Yeah. Listen, the thing about Floyd is what makes him dynamic is his variation to his offense. If Floyd was just gonna, I'll find a southpaw, I'm gonna just throw this right hand, even it's gonna be predictable even for somebody like Conor. What makes Floyd so difficult to beat is his speed, his intelligence. He's got 40 different ways he feints, so all of a sudden now you can't counter him. Part of defense is anticipation. Part of counter-punching, which involves defense, is also anticipation. If you can't anticipate what's coming, you can't counter-punch, you can't defend it. Floyd has 40 different feints, changes many different looks, can lead with both hands, many different punches. The more a fighter can vary himself, the more a fighter can be confusing to the opponent. So I don't think it's just about the Floyd right hand with the southpaw. There's a lot of things Floyd's going to do, I think, because he does it in every fight. It's not just, it's Conor, he's going to do it. I'm just basing it off Floyd the way I've seen him in every fight.
Right.
And that's how somebody would evaluate Floyd when they actually know what they're looking at. People who don't know what they're looking at will say that Floyd is just running. I mean, there's so many things that Floyd Mayweather does in the ring.
The variation that beats
we'll find out Saturday night, Paulie. Thanks so much for joining us. More Undisputed coming up from Las Vegas.
And much credit for Paulie for how maturely he handled this interview. The Paulie of a few years ago probably would have lost all of his composure on Skip and just flipped out. But, good for him.